Financial abuse is a form of domestic abuse. Financial abuse is a tactic abusers use to gain power and control over their victim by limiting, hiding, evading, and restricting their spouse's access to money, the balance in their bank accounts, or making sure their victims have no access to other household information. If you've been the victim of financial abuse and want to learn how to get financial strength, meaning control and an understanding of your money, listen up. Joining us to explain is Donna LaScala, president of Comprehensive Divorce Solutions. Donna is also a certified divorce financial analyst, a registered financial consultant, a financial neutral, board member of the Association of Divorce Financial Planners, and Donna is the current president of the Long Island chapter of the Financial Planning Association. And you should check out their website, www.fpali.org, because the organization just hosted a free webinar on divorce in the marital residence. Plus, they have lots of other great events to help you survive and thrive. Donna, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thanks for always joining us. Fortune magazine reports 53 female CEOs are currently running some of America's 500 highest grossing companies. So why is there still the perception that women don't know anything about money or their finances?
Unfortunately, it is a very pervasive and long-standing myth about women, money, math. When I grew up, very traditional Italian household, there was a divide of responsibilities, and it was always assumed that my dad would pay the bills and take care of the finances. But my mother was a bookkeeper, so it never actually made sense to me that when he passed away, she turned to me and said, I need help with this. I never took care of the family finances, because she had the ability, but she never had the responsibility. And there's a difference. There's a very big difference between having the ability but not being given the responsibility, or not feeling that you can take control of the responsibility of it. So there's still this idea that women and money and finance aren't really a great fit. But at the Financial Planning Association, we are strongly urging more and more young women to get into the financial services industry and to take charge of their money, because it is a very important thing for women to do.
As we said in the open, financial abuse is common in a divorce that involves domestic violence. And as a certified divorce financial analyst, you say there's a list of things pertaining to the money and the finances a person can do without permission of the estranged spouse during a divorce action that could hurt them in their wallet. What are they?
So one of the biggest things that people need to know and understand has to do with the marital residence. So the marital residence, even if it is owned by both people, by both parties, even if the deed is in both names, even if the mortgage is in both names, one spouse can actually get what's known as a HELOC, a home equity line credit, against the marital residence without the permission or knowledge of the other spouse. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but there's a very big difference with banking rules and regulations and the way they look at the title of accounts versus brokerage firms per se. And this has to do with the fact that even though it's assumed that both people are joint owners, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to operate in lockstep. One person can actually get a home equity line of credit on the marital residence without the knowledge of the other. And this is something that can come back to really hurt the other spouse, because here's the way it works. If someone gets a home equity line of credit on the house, let's just call it $200,000, and they take that money and they put it somewhere else in their business, in a savings account, in a CD, somewhere, in their own name, they have now used $200,000 of the equity in the house and taken it away and put it in their own name. Now, you go back to the house and you look at the fact that there's a home equity line of credit on the house. Well, both people are owners. They are both equally responsible for the payment of that home equity line of credit. So it is a debt against the unknowing spouse who didn't even know that the home equity line of credit was taken out in the first place. And this is something that, unfortunately, a lot of people do when they are thinking about getting divorced, maybe in the near future. So think about how detrimental that can be to the person who doesn't even know that that home equity line of credit is out there. We all know that you can take out a credit card without the other person's knowledge. But while you're still married, everything that happens during the marriage is considered marital, even though it's in one person's name or the other. So taking out a lot of credit cards in your own name or in joint name without the other person's knowledge, because when you're married, it's always assumed, there's just a default assumption that everything is in joint name or jointly owned or jointly indebted, because that's the way the system works. So one spouse can rank up a lot of credit card debt without the other one's knowledge, but it's during the marriage. It's a marital debt, even though it's in one person's name. So those are two of the biggest ways that this can happen, and it really comes back to hurt the unknowing, unsuspecting spouse that this is what's been going on.
And when all this is going on, it can really hurt a person's credit. So if spouse A wanted to check on spouse B's credit, can they get a copy of that report during a divorce action?
Well, unfortunately, you cannot get one without the other person's knowledge. But as I said, a lot of these accounts and a lot of these things are assumed to be joint debt or joint ownership. So the first thing you should do is pull your own credit report, because that can give you an idea of what's going on. And if there are things that are out there attached to things that you own in your name, it'll appear on your credit report. Sometimes a spouse has, a credit card, but it's in joint name and it appears on your credit report. Or there's something on the house and it appears on your credit report because it's in your name also. But you have to be very, very careful about some of these designations of title. And we've talked about this before on other episodes. There's a difference between joint tenants with rights of survivorship and joint tenants in common. And also, as I had alluded to before, the banking rules and regulations are very different than brokerage accounts. So if you have a joint account at a bank and it's a joint account, it's more likely than not joint tenants in common, which means that both parties can act independently of the other. So one spouse can go to a bank and take all the money out of the joint account without the signature of the other, because they are set up to operate independently of the other person. And that's a huge risk when you're thinking about getting divorced. You need to know what accounts you have and how they are titled and what you're actually entitled to do or able to do, and the other spouse as well.
Donna, quickly, because we're running out of time, top 3 tips for bouncing back from financial abuse. What are they?
First of all, know your own credit. Pull a credit report. You get to do it for free at least 6 times a year. Begin to build separate accounts. You need to have credit and accounts in your own name, and get the advice of a financial professional, because they can help you and guide you through the process.
Donna, for people who want to learn more, how can they get in touch with you?
The easiest way is to give me a phone call at 516-234-7522.
Donna LaScala, president of the Long Island chapter of the Financial Planning Association and president of Comprehensive Divorce Solutions. Thank you for joining us.
At Comprehensive Divorce Solutions, Donna LaScala provides the tools for people to deal with assets, debts, equitable distribution, and retirement in divorce negotiations. We hold your hand during and after the divorce process, providing a roadmap of what happens next and into the future. Divorce is difficult whether you're initiating it or not. It's fraught with emotion. When you deal with emotions, you are not dealing with logic, making it more difficult to decide what to do with your money. Hiring a professional to assist you in walking down the money path is crucial to avoiding potentially costly mistakes. Donna's goal is to make sure that each individual knows how they are going to be able to survive and thrive during and after divorce. As a CDFA trained mediator and collaborative financial neutral, Donna helps people get unstuck and move forward towards their post-divorce future. Call Donna LaScala at 516-218-6919, 516-218-6919.